page 38, and we're going to look at determining the key to a song. We've talked about this before. We've talked about the concept of wanting to get to where we can learn the key to a song, and we want to, in order to find songs that you hear or create your own music with interesting melodies, harmonies, and chords, you want to begin by choosing the key of the song. So you have to start with the key in order to find the chords to the song. The first question you need to ask yourself is, what chord does the song resolve to? So we've addressed this idea a little bit when we talked about 1-4-5 and how the 5 chord resolves to the 1. If I'm playing the G, C, and D chords in open first position, like G and C and D, if I stopped right there, it'll leave you hanging a little bit. Basically makes you wonder, are we going to actually resolve that thought? It's a musical thought whenever you hear these notes. If we stop on that D, we're not really resolving that thought. But if I take G and C and D and then resolve this thought back to G, you can hear how that thought has completed itself. So it's basically went from 1-4-5 and went back to the 1 again. When you're using your ear, you can listen to songs and you'll hear that resolution, it resolving to the 1 chord fairly regularly. And so you can figure out what the chord is that the key that is connected to the key that we're in. So and that's how you do that. You're listening for a resolution or a resolving to the 1 chord in the song. And that's the chord that's going to base all of the chords off in the song. Similar to the way we had a G major scale, and we said G is the launching point to the song. It's going to be G, and there's all kinds of different chords that can be in that song. But usually the chords to a song are going to be inside that major scale formula, and we'll keep those as our basis for understanding what those chords are going to look like in the song. So once we know how to answer that question, we're doing really well. What chord does the song resolve to? There are other a couple helpful tips you can use. You want to listen to understand how the chord concludes the musical thought and where the emphasis in the song goes, which is what we talked about. And then we also want to, if we can find what is the last chord in the song and what is the first chord in the song, typically those two will be the key of the song. Specifically in most modern songs, contemporary songs, that'll be the case. If you're listening to experimental music that's a little bit outside the box, or maybe jazz music, possibly classical music, they may not resolve at the end of the song or start at the beginning of the song on the 1 chord, on the one that actually tells us what key we're playing in. They may resolve, they probably resolve in the middle of the song some, so you have to listen a little bit better to find the actual chord that identifies the key that we're playing in. So those are 3 questions you can ask: is what chord does the song resolve to? What is the last chord in the song? What is the first chord in the song? This is going to lead us to the keys, to the key that the song is in. In book 1, we learned the song When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, and it's actually on the next page, on page 39. The chords used in the song are D, G, A, and E minor. We want to review and play the first verse of the song so that we can listen for the answer to those 3 questions. And so if you see that on the next page, you can already see that the song starts with D and ends with D. So that's probably a pretty good hint that the song is in the key of D. And if I'm going to play that, sing that verse, you'll hear it resolve several times in the song. And I'm just going to play it once so you can kind of try it out on one of the songs that we've been playing in the book. So I'll play that with you. When I survey the So it actually resolved several times in that song. Whenever it actually went from D to A is the 5 chord in the key of D, and it resolved to that D note afterwards. You can hear it kind of resolve in that musical thought. It did that twice in the song. It did that in measure 9, and it did that in measure 16 at the very end of the song. So what is the first chord in the song? It's D. What is the last chord in the song? It's also D. And what chord does the song resolve to? It resolves to D. So we could write out all the notes in the major scale of D and figure out the chords based on our major scale chord formula, and we would be able to find the chords in that song if we didn't have them written out for us. Okay? So that's basically the concept that we use to find keys, and you have to get used to that idea. It takes a while to get your ear used to doing that, but I imagine that you could pick out a handful of maybe 10 songs that you know and listen to the song and try to figure out where the chord is that's the resolution chord, the chord that the song resolves to, and then you would be able to figure out, once you figure out what that chord is, write out the major scale and see if you can identify some of the other chords in that song. They're usually, most songs revolve around the 1, 4, and the 5, and maybe the minor 6, and so you should be able to get fairly far in that regard. Okay, so start to practice that on your own, and you know, I would try to consult a teacher possibly. If you want to join a class, you can get more information about how to start doing that, and basically just experience playing and practicing and learning on the guitar, and hopefully we'll actually get to where you can do that yourself if you stick through the advanced class.